Hi, I'm Simon Hill and you're watching Purebred Reds Adelaide United Fan TV.
Hi, I'm Daniel Mullen, former Adelaide United player and Asian Champions League winner with Western Sydney Wanderers. When it comes to any of my soccer needs, I do my shopping here at Soccer Locker. An Australian-owned and operated business, the store is located at Shop 5 of 181 to 183 Grange Road, Findon. Founded in 2017, Soccer Locker was introduced into the market to fulfil all the soccer-related needs of Australians, providing a huge range of quality clothing and equipment ranging from soccer balls, team kits, goalkeeper gear, accessories and much more. Recently arrived stock also includes stunning retro kits from some of our favourite past eras as fans of the world game. Soccer Locker is a specialist in premier range boots, Adidas and Puma, goalkeeper gear and licensed merchandise. Visit us online at www.soccerlocker.com.au with free delivery Australia-wide. So get shopping now at our Findon store, open from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. from Monday to Friday and open Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
G'day guys and welcome to the Purebred Reds Adelaide United Fan TV. I'm your host Ellis Gelios, coming to you today as we play Sydney FC at Leichhardt Oval in Sydney, and I'm joined by a regular contributor on Purebred Reds and becoming quickly known as probably the biggest super fan of Adelaide United going around. I'd like to welcome Chris Adams back to the show. Chris, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, really good. Enjoying this fine morning in the backyard once again. I'm just very happy to be back on and excited for the game.
And we're happy to have you back on. I just want to quickly discuss the result against Macarthur on Wednesday night at Coopers Stadium. We were both there. A very good performance by the team and a great result too. What did you make of it overall?
Yeah, you know what? That was a really, really fantastic result. I was not expecting it, but I was thinking it's capable. It's possible that because we're playing midweek and we'd only just played on Saturday night, we could see probably a bit of a down performance. And I suppose that's the same case today, given that we're sort of cramming in fixtures. But Macarthur are a good team, and we know how we played last time, and we didn't get a very good result. But I didn't feel at all during that whole game that we were in trouble whatsoever. I know we conceded one. It was 1-1 for a period of time. But the chances we were making and ultimately the way that we held possession in key areas. And I felt like when Macarthur were on the ball, they didn't really challenge us. So really fantastic result in a very peculiar game, but ultimately great 3 points to get.
For sure. So we do play Sydney FC today. It's a 3:35 kickoff at Leichhardt Oval in Sydney. Of course, as always, if you can't, if you're not travelling, make sure you watch on Fox Sports or the Kayo Sports app. Chris, I just want to quickly touch on a few other things. Firstly, the Moles Balls concept and the kit for that matter. You enjoyed it?
Yeah, I loved it. I think it was... See, I'm not entirely sure. I think it was to do with the anniversary of the Rundle Mall or the Moles Balls or something like that. I think it was a really great, really nice kit. I like the sort of simplistic designs, and that was it. It was a beautiful sort of red and white, or red and sort of very light grey shirt with a nice red Moles Balls on it. And it was a smash hit league wide. It went. I think they sold every single jersey on match day, and I'll remember that game against Macarthur for all the novelty events attached to it. It had the cat I met Ben Halloran scoring a goal, everything like that, you know. So it was a really fantastic jersey, and I've got mine. So it's going to be one that we're going to look back on in many years' time. We think, I remember that Run the Mall kit, and I remember the game as well. But yeah, it was very funny.
Yeah, you'll be telling your kids about it because it's a historic game. It's the first time Macarthur came here in their history. And it was great to win. Sydney FC, our opponents today, Chris. The last time I had you on the show, we discussed Sydney. It was the week after we beat them here. Here we are again finding ourselves talking about a game against Sydney FC. And it's been a reoccurring theme across the whole A-League this season. We've had so many of these occasions where we're suddenly playing a team that we played only 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'd like to point out Melbourne City and the fact that, you know, obviously they don't schedule these games with, keeping in mind what the most appetising fixture is going to be on a week-to-week basis. But we haven't played Melbourne City in I think months. I can't remember the last time we played them. It might have even been on the opening game here in Adelaide. And yet here we are not playing a team like Melbourne City, playing Sydney FC again some 2 or 3 weeks after we played them last time out. Are these fixture logs becoming a little bit monotonous, do you think?
Look, the way I see it is that if the league has to do it, I know we've had border closures and that's why it's happened. It's sort of that floating fixture thing that I know the AFL are doing as well. Something very similar where not every date is set in stone. I know because we started last year releasing the fixtures and every game was set in stone. And as soon as one COVID cluster happened in Victoria and then one COVID cluster happened in New South Wales, all of a sudden it throws everything into doubt. So they've scheduled it in a way that they think will get the league over and done with. And, not over and done with, I shouldn't say it like that, it's a negative way, but to get the league completed. And so if it occurs like this, then so be it. I know we only played Sydney about 3 weeks ago. And yeah, you're right. We played Melbourne City only in round 2. And now we're more than midway through the season. In a way, I'm sort of happy that we're not playing Melbourne City right now because they're in such a great vein of form. So I'm just thinking, yeah, we could be dodging a bullet. It could work in our favour if they sort of are hit with a couple of injuries or form drop towards the end of the season when we play them next, because we're not going to play them for maybe another few weeks, at least a month. So
yeah, it's about a month.
It could work in our favour, but it's a very weird one. And I don't think in 3 or 4 years' time, when things are hopefully back to normal, we're going to look back at this and think, wow, look at the fixtures there, because we had Newcastle and it was the exact same scenario where we played Newcastle at home, and then I think it was 2 weeks later we played them away. But if this is a way for football to go forward at the moment and proceed, then I really have no issues with it. So be it. We're just going to have to deal with that as fans.
Well answered. Now, I want to quickly touch on Louis Dorigo. He's now available again today after missing Wednesday night. But the midfield against Macarthur were very impressive, the midfield three. Be half to drop one of them with Dorigo now available again. And should Carl Viet tinker with a team that was so good only a few days ago? Do you think he puts Louis straight in or not?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's actually on the minds of everybody at the moment. I could see two possible viewpoints. I know Carl has said yesterday that he's got a big decision to make on his hands, whether he drops, I think it would be Caletti, or goes with Dorigo. And the way I see it is now the squad's played 3 games in 8 days, counting today. Dorigo had his little rest. He didn't play, obviously, due to suspension on Wednesday night. So now the squad's going to be a little wary. Legs are going to be a little bit sore. So maybe I think you should put Dorigo in because that's an injection of energy, and he'll be fresh from last week. But yeah, then obviously there is that sort of, our midfield was absolutely fantastic. Caletti had a fantastic game. Juande had a fantastic game, and Mauk is always, going to have that starting position. So yeah, I see there's a dilemma. Personally, I'd start Dorigo because that was the starting midfield for many weeks before he got suspended. So I think that you got to revert back to that. Now we need the fresh legs, especially against Sydney, who are going to run. They're going to work the ball. We could really use Dorigo's defensive qualities, and also his game has really matured this season, and he's turned into a more complete midfielder in transitional playing going forward. So Dorigo is a start for me.
I'd almost consider putting him in for one day because Caletti probably had his best game for us, in my opinion, on Wednesday night just gone. And one day, 35-year-old, suddenly getting a lot of run into those legs, like you mentioned, 3 games in a week. So that's one to really tinker over for Carl, but I guess he'll go with his strongest 11 or whatever he views to be his strongest 11, and we'll wait and see what that team is with plenty of anticipation. I want to now talk to you about Joe Gauchi, who against Sydney FC at home last time out had his first of some heroic displays that we've seen since, where against Sydney FC he was just amazing, and everyone knows that was the springboard for him to then go into the Mariners game the following week and save those 2 penalties in such a phenomenal way. How do you think he's come along since that Sydney game back a month or so ago now? Because here he is looking like the firm number 1 at the moment, at least. James Delianov still injured. Do you think that Delianov will really have his work cut out when it comes to getting himself back in the starting 11 when he's fit again?
Yeah, well, I think that young goalkeepers, any player needs game time, especially young goalkeepers. They need to play to progress in their game. Gauchi made a couple of sort of not silly mistakes, but you'd expect that with his inexperience when he first came into the team. And more games have been coming. He's understood his role. He's understood what's required of him a bit more. Just the little things. They've been improving in his game every week. You know, he goes to collect the ball, goes to catch it out of the air, blah, blah, blah. He looks really solid. And I think that can only come, and he can only get better with that if he plays. It's a little upsetting because, you know, for Delianov, he was phenomenal, having a great season, and then he got injured. And I know Delianov's actually back in training now, but I think the plan is to have him play in the NPL, give him some games locally, so he can get that confidence back, get himself back into the groove, because he had a very bad hamstring tendon issue, and it's not a normal hamstring injury, hamstring tendon. So it was quite a bad one for him to have. But obviously, once he gets back into full fitness, once he gets his touch on the ball, his experience back, I suppose, then we got a real, not dilemma, but we got a real good situation to have when we're going to have 2 really top goalkeepers fighting for that position. But Gauchi, my advice for him is, everybody will say, keep doing the same thing. If he starts to try new things, starts to try and be not silly but adventurous, then all of a sudden, you know, he might find himself on the bench. I don't think that's going to be the case with him. I think that he just needs to, if he keeps doing what he's doing right now, that spot should be his for the rest of the season.
Absolutely, it should. And I'm just going to let everyone in on a little secret regarding Joe Gauchi. His name is actually pronounced Gauchi. So there you go, folks. No one has come out with that one yet, but his name is not actually pronounced Gauchi. It's Gauchi. So we'll see how long it takes the mainstream media to pick up on that one. Moving forward, Chris, we beat them last time out. It was their only loss, Sydney FC, in 8 games. Everyone was talking about whether they've lost their mojo for good when we last beat them at Cooper Stadium. It's since really gone on to sort of really kick them into gear. Like I said, they're only the 1 loss in 8 games that we inflicted on them. Have they really flown under the radar this season? Because I feel like before Bobo came in, Barbarousse struggling to score goals, a lot being made about the fact that they haven't adequately replaced Adam Lafondra. Yet here we are now talking about a Sydney FC that is starting to look very scary as they come into finals contention with the season now in the final stretch. Have we really underestimated Sydney in the last few weeks, and are they potentially still the real deal behind potentially the Mariners and Melbourne City?
They say that the great teams, you know, when facing adversity, they always respond in a certain way. And Sydney FC have been undoubtedly the best team in the last 3 or 4 seasons in the A-League. And they went through a tough patch, and now all of a sudden they've kicked on and they look really good. They played a really great game against Melbourne City last week, and I watched only the first half of that. Had to get the Hindmarsh game, but it was played at a phenomenal pace, a pace that's not very regularly seen in the A-League. And that just goes to show their quality, where they were almost going to get a win against Melbourne City. It was like a 98th minute penalty that cancelled it out. But yeah, they've really come back into form. And I said this, you know, privately before we played Sydney FC. You know their quality. It takes one of their players to just pop out and score a couple. And we know they can all do it, because it was in early 2020 when we played in Verbeek, under Verbeek. It was Palo Retro, of all people, who scored 2. And that says it all, when your midfielders, who aren't even renowned for scoring goals, can all of a sudden pop up and be a game winner. I think they have a team full of game winners, and I will always look at Sydney and think they're a fantastic team, and they have never there's never a time we're playing them that I've felt comfortable, because I think that they're just such a fantastic team, and every single player on their day can absolutely do the job. So yeah, really tough game, but there's no point looking at them and thinking, yeah, they're a wounded beast or whatever, because, you know, beware the wounded beast. We know their quality. Look at the squad they have. I know Bobo is you know, mid-30s and hasn't been scoring goals here and there, but now all of a sudden he's getting a goal. He's got 1 or 2 goals every few games recently, and he's scoring again. They've got a couple. I think they've got 1 or 2 suspensions, maybe a couple of injuries, but they have such depth. Doesn't really matter. I just always look at Sydney and I think they're just such a class team. So yeah, I can never relax when it's Sydney.
Yeah, I very much agree with all of that. They are a formidable outfit, and even at times when we've gone 1 or 2 up and looking comfortable, the game can change so quickly. It always seems to against Sydney FC. But we'll move on. Now, I want to talk about Ryan McGowan, South Australian born, ex-Socceroo, not that long ago, in fact. He's been probably the centre point of Sydney's defence for the best part of their championship era. Like I mentioned, he's South Australian born. Interestingly, though, he comes off contract in June of this year. Now, we know that when it comes to our track record with recruiting Australian-based players, especially the ones that have a high pedigree in the A-League, it helps a lot when they're South Australians. Do we go for Ryan McGowan next season with Yako getting on and all kinds of uncertainties surrounding Jordan Elsie and whether he'll even sign a new deal for us going into next season?
Yeah, well, it's just depending on a lot of things, isn't it? McGowan, we know it was quality, South Australian. His brother Dylan is probably one of my all-time favourite Adelaide United defenders. His reputation precedes when it comes to Ryan McGowan, but it's just down to the salary cap. It's down to who we retain, who leaves, what our plans are. You know, if we're looking at a possible sort of situation where it's if say Goodwin comes available to us and we could keep him, you know, for the next 1 or 2 seasons. If we're looking at a scenario of Goodwin versus McGowan, I'm going to say Goodwin every day of the week. I know that McGowan is really, really good, and he has a fantastic reputation at Sydney FC, but it has to have sort of stars align. The circumstances have to exactly match what we're looking for, and I don't see it happening. Honestly, I'd take him. I don't see it happening because there are different priorities at the moment, and I think that our priorities for next season don't quite match what is required to bring Ryan McGowan to Adelaide. And this is just me speaking as a fan. You know, I have no idea what could potentially happen, but ultimately, I don't think it could happen. I don't see it happening.
You covered your tracks well there, mate, because I was about to say, look at him sporting that official club jacket and perhaps read between the lines, folks. But I won't stitch you up too much there, mate. Now, your favourite Sydney FC memory of all time. There's been so many epic battles between these two sides. I'm actually going to go with a bit of an obscure one. We beat them 2-0 at Adelaide Oval back in the 2010-11 season. It was a great game, a great result, a great atmosphere, and it was the last time we played at the old Adelaide Oval before it was redeveloped. That's my favourite memory. What's yours?
Oh, mate. There are a lot of them.
Well, rattle off your best 3 then, if you can't narrow it down to one.
My best 3, okay. Probably one of the first Sydney FC game I went to that I remember. It's in 2012 New Year's Eve. Dario Vidicic scored 2 goals. And Vidicic is one of my favourite players. And I really love that game. That's a really great memory for me. Championship season, Jago scoring a famous volley, which was slight deflection, but I didn't see it live, and you can't really see it on the replay. So we're not going to talk about.
I knew this one was coming.
And then Karuska scoring the top corner penalty to win it at the death, 95th minute. That was just a fantastic game, and that was what kicked off our 14-game undefeated streak. And then this will be my favourite. Obviously, our FFA Cup win against them. probably the two greatest goals I've ever seen live from Craig, and I was speaking to somebody about this recently who described it as the two single greatest goals I've ever seen. And to be honest, I agree. That FA Cup final 2018, Craig Goodwin unleashing. That's probably my favourite memory. But yeah, there are certainly a fair few many.
We can only hope the good memories continue to come when it regards Adelaide United and Sydney FC later this afternoon. Before we go, I need a prediction out of you, Chris.
Oh, mate, I hate predictions. I went for a draw with the Mariners last time and we lost. I'm gonna go for a draw again because I'm a real fence sitter. I think that we could really cancel each other out because it was very much the case last time we played them. We really cancelled each other out and nobody had the chance to play their football the way they want to. So yeah, I think a draw would be a great result the way the league is at the moment. Everything's so close. One point, and we get closer to the Mariners. Obviously, a win, we go top, so that'd be great. But I think everybody should be looking at a draw as a great result in when the stakes are this high.
Well, there's a lovely ray of sunshine that's just developed behind you, Chris. We can only hope that the big man in the sky is looking down on our Reds in Sydney in the same picturesque way as the backdrop that we've now got behind you there. Chris, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the game today, and we will speak to you again very soon, my man.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be called up to preview on Pure Red Reds Adelaide United Fan TV. Thank you for having me, and I'm really looking forward to the game this afternoon.
You're a real impact sub, mate. You enjoy watching it today, and to all our viewers and listeners, enjoy the game, and thanks for joining us, and we'll be back with you again very soon. Thanks a lot, guys. All the best.